Being that it's 9 a.m., we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Just got an email, Kurt's homesick, so he won't be able to make it today. We have the agenda in front of us. Everybody's had the chance to review that. There's no additions or corrections. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Previous board minutes from January 21st. Everybody has a chance to look at those. Is there any additions or corrections? Not, is there a motion to approve?
Everything appeared to be in order. I'd make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Public comment. Anybody wish to make a public comment? Now's your chance to come before the board. Okay. Labor negotiations, we can move that back to towards the end of our meeting as we always been doing, so. We'll move on with the consent agenda. There's 2 items on the consent agenda. Is there any questions on those? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Question, is that a gambling license? Are they having an event or something? Or is this a normal Mount Prairie Township habit?
Gambling event.
Yep,
It's a special event.
it's a one-time event.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, action item number 1. Consider appointing Chase Munson to the Planning Commission for a 3-year term beginning January 2025 and ending December 31st, 2027. And this is to replace,
Good morning.
it's termed out.
Yes, so we had the 2 vacancies on the Planning Commission. So we went through the interview, or not the interview, excuse me, the application review process, and based on your ratings, Chase was one of the top point getters, I guess you would say. So, yeah, so basically I just have the top 2 on here for your consideration for approval.
Okay. I know Chase Munson. I think he'd be a good member to have on the Planning Commission.
I agree. Worked with him before, and I think he'd be a real asset with his skills and knowledge.
So do we have a motion to approve Chase to be on the Planning Commission?
I move
Make a
to.
motion.
Okay. Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Number 2, consider Franklin Hahn to be on the Planning Commission for a 3-year term in 2025. through 2027 now. He's he was on the Board of Adjustment,
Correct,
and he applied to be on the planning commission, so
correct.
if we approve this, there'll be a vacancy on the Board of Adjustment.
Right, yep, so that's the next action item coming up here. Yep,
He could also serve on the Board of Adjustment
That could be a
as a
possibility.
designee from
The planning
planning,
commission,
right?
yep.
But then you'd still need
right.
someone on the zoning, yeah.
So you're missing two on the Board of Adjustment then, right now? Sure, and Franklin then?
Well, we're only missing one technically, because the other one has to be appointed from the planning commission.
Right,
Jim was on
Missing one.
planning, yeah.
so we just will need to recruit for one. Okay.
Yep. I think Franklin would be a good member of the planning commission. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Number 3, consider approving the issuance of a public notice to advertise for a Board of Adjustment vacancy created by Franklin Hahn. Is there a motion to approve issuance of a public notice to advertise?
We need to do that.
Yep.
So moved.
There's a second to that? Okay, Greg seconded it. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right.
Okay, good deal, thank you.
Number 4, consider accepting local bridge replacement funds in the amount of $141,967.66 for a project SAP 028-610-021.
Good morning, Commissioners. Actually, I was gonna request, so if we can do this approval, but then maybe if we can move number 11 up, since Silas is here from Bolton and Mank.
Oh, sure. Yep.
But, so the bridge replacement, local bridge replacement program, funding, so this is for project SAP 028-610-021, which is the bridge replacement on County 10, over by Chex Mill area. So that contract has been approved previously, and if the county board does not approve this, then the project funding would go entirely through our state aid account. So this is using some state money to cover some of our state aid bridge account, or state aid account funding. So this shifts some of that from local money to state money, so I recommend approving this.
That would be beneficial.
Absolutely.
Yep. Is there a motion to approve?
Yep. So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Are they moving that bridge down, Brian?
What was that?
They're gonna bring that bridge down a little ways?
It's gonna be the same, the same location on the road, but the curve is gonna be shifted over about 15 to 20 feet, so it's being moved a little bit farther to the south. So it'll be the same design radius, same curve radius as the ones upstream, or up road and down road of that bridge, so it's not gonna be so sharp, and hopefully won't surprise anyone driving on the road and they don't drive off.
That's kind of a tight corner there now, I mean, that's.
Yep, and then, currently it's a narrow bridge, guardrail is right tight, the new one's gonna be box culvert, so it'll have wide shoulders and fatter floor slopes, so it'll be much better than what it currently is.
The open box culvert, open shoulders, no guardrails.
Correct.
One box culvert or two?
One.
All right, you want to move number 11 up?
Yeah, so if you can come up here, Silas.
To discuss the airport T-hanger project bidding and funding.
Yeah, so a few weeks ago, the county board approved to move forward on the airport T-hanger project. So that project is at this time expected to be 95% FAA funds, 2.5% MnDOT Aeronautics state money, and 2.5% local money. So local cost for the project, based on the current estimate of 1.67 million is $41,750 is the local cost based on preliminary estimate. Now, that number will change as we bid the project out and get the actual bids. But a couple things here, we haven't put in the paper yet to advertise for the project. Wanted to know, once we advertise, we're gonna have a bid opening and when the board is gonna want to approve the contract for the contractor. Knowing that we have some funding issues, we have some funding lined up. Some of the funding is gonna be based on approvals of the FAA, which more than likely won't happen until probably sometime around July, give or take a month, I would say. So we wanted to talk about that. Do we want to award a contract contingent upon funding, or do we want to award a contract where the contractor can get out there and start buying materials so they can get it built in 2025? Or do we want to withhold approving the contract entirely until we have the FAA grant agreement, which means we probably won't be able to order materials until August, and they more than likely won't get stuff built until 2026. FAA is asking some questions as far as looking at our waiting list on who's interested in moving into these new hangars. We're developing that list. We've made some phone calls. On our current list, there's 2 people that are very interested in funding. We are of renting a hangar space. We know the front row of hangars, of the current hangars, at some point it's gonna move. We don't know when that's gonna be. Some of those individuals are interested in moving into the T hangar. Some of them are looking at maybe, buying a different hangar farther back and not moving into the new T hangars. We haven't spoke with them since the FAA made this request to see, how interested are they in moving into these T hangars. And then we don't know that time frame. It's all gonna depend on what the FAA requires for funding for future projects, along with the plane size. If we get a bigger plane based at the airport, it can kind of force our hands to get that front row to go away quicker. So with me today, I have Silas Parmar. He is with Bolton and Mink. He's been the consultant that we have used for the airport for probably, I don't know, about 8 years now, maybe?
Yep, they're about.
So he's been familiar with the airport projects for the last several years, including this T hangar project. They've been involved with the design and does a lot of coordination with the FAA. So I don't know if Silas wanted to add anything else that I.
Yeah, certainly. Thanks, Brian. Thank you, commissioners, for being here. For all the past projects we've done, at the airport that are utilizing federal and state funds, the recommendation has been to wait until the FAA and the state grant offers have been issued to the county before awarding the contract. For this particular project, being it's a hangar construction, and based on recent history of constructing other hangars at airports, there's a little bit more volatility in bid prices for contractors with regards to the building. What we've experienced is that many contractors, the pricing that they receive from building manufacturers is only valid for 15 to 30 days, and that's just due to the demand of these projects. So in order to get the best bid price possible here, what I recommended to Brian and what we're bringing to the commission is, for this project only, is award the contract prior to the FAA and state grants being offered. It takes about 3 to 4 months from when the grant application is submitted just for the FAA and MnDOT to push the paperwork and actually provide the grant offers. But it's just a matter of when they're received. But we want to take advantage of awarding the contract earlier to get the best possible price on the building so that a contractor can lock in their building price, order the materials, and realistically start construction in July and have this project completed by the end of the year so the county can start renting out the hangars. So that's kind of some of the background about what's different about this particular project and the county awarding the contract prior to receiving the FAA and state grant offers. And I'd be happy to answer any more questions or comments about kind of how the FAA and state funding or grant offers work if any commissioners have questions.
When did the FAA come up with this request on available, people interested in the hangar?
Last week,
What prompted that?
they need to so they have a kind of a checklist that they need to justify any project.
Right.
And for a T hanger, that is on their checklist of one of the things that they really required. So they haven't provided that checklist to me previously. This is the first time I saw it was a week ago. No, Silas and I did have some discussion previously on this, on, we need to be able to justify to the FAA that there's a need. So we have a couple things in our favor in this point, that the county owns no hangars out there. So when someone calls us up currently, there might be a vacant hangar or a hangar that is currently owned, but there's no plane in it. All we can do when someone calls us up and say, we don't own any hangars, we can provide you a name of someone, or actually what we usually do is we'll contact that person that has the empty hangar and say, can you reach out to this person if you're interested in subleasing your hangar for for another plane. So we can, we can tell the FAA first off, we know we get calls on a fairly regular basis with people interested, but we have to say we don't own any hangars, we don't have any space available. So now we can tell them, yeah, now we have some space available to lease. And then we also have the list of a couple people that are definitely interested in moving out here. Talking some internal discussions with the board, there's been some desire to allow the front row of hangars have the first opportunity to lease the T hangars, because those are the ones that are gonna get displaced here over the next several years or at some point. The other hangars out there have been good tenants in the second and third row. There's been some desire by the airport commission to allow them to have the next opportunity to move into the hangars, and then they can sell their existing hangar to someone else. And then third would be people that aren't currently based at the airport, to give them an opportunity to be based at the airport. So we have some answers for the FAA. I think that they will be satisfied with the answers. We need to have some more discussions with that, and we'll definitely be moving forward with those discussions quickly. The last thing I want to do is award a contract to a contractor here in a month, and then they have the FAA come back 3-4 months later and say, we're going to deny issuing a grant. So I'm not going to come forward to the board in a month saying, let's, approve this contract as we decide today that we'd like to proceed, without knowing that things are still in order with how we expect. So we still have some time to make some adjustments, but we want to make sure things are put in the bid as we expect it to be today.
So has Bolton and Mink seen that request before from FAA?
Yeah, so because the hangar is a revenue generating project, the way the FAA works is something that they provide, it first needs to start from, your runway, moves to your taxiway, to your apron. When it gets to a revenue generating project, what the FAA in theory conceptualizes is that the county should generate enough revenue from hangar rentals, fuel sales, to be able to put forth the infrastructure for this. But as Brian mentioned, with the county not having any county-owned hangars, there's not, sufficient revenue coming in for the airport to construct infrastructure of this cost. So this is standard practice for the FAA, just to ensure that there is a need for 8 aircraft to base at the airport. So with the waiting list that exists, and then with that hangar, with the private hangar on the front row, in time needing to be removed per also FAA requirements, we're confident that there's a need for these 8 units to be constructed at the airport. But to answer your question, Commissioner, yeah, it's a common request of the FAA to demonstrate the need.
Have you ever seen them deny it because they feel that there was a need for it?
I have not seen that been denied by the FAA in all the past hangar projects I've been a part of.
Did those past projects have client contracts that would definitely use it, or it all was potential?
It was all potential, like an intent, because they weren't requiring signed lease agreements with any tenant before they move forward with the project. They just need to know that there is interest and there is likelihood of all the units being rented.
So what we're doing here is we're going to award the bidding of the contract, but then there's still gonna be another time frame here where we can stop it if we,
Yep, so today is just to advertise, and within within the proposal, we're gonna put some expectations in there of how we want to, what our intention is as far as awarding the contract and how we're gonna let it, knowing how the funding is gonna line up. We will come back to the board, or I'll come back to the board, I don't know that Silas will be here at that time. We'll come back to approve the contract with the contractors. So that'll be, once we know what the actual dollar amount is. So it might be 1.6 million, it might be, 1.3.
but we're not gonna have an answer from FAA yet on that.
We won't have an answer for sure at that point, but we will be farther along with those discussions with the FAA to have a better feel with where they sit. And
I think what Commissioner is asking is before the county actually makes award on the contract, will we have a response from the FAA? And I'm certain we will. What our proposed schedule is to open bids on the 20th of February, bring the low bid to the county board for just approval of the low bid at the February 25th meeting. And at that meeting, then allow the contractor time to put their contract together and then bring that back to the county board at likely the May 18th meeting for the county board to approve the contract. So I'm confident before that March 18th, before the March 18th meeting, we will have confirmation from the FAA about approval of the list of pilots desiring to base at the airport.
I thought we weren't gonna hear until July.
That's for the grant offers.
The 95%.
Correct.
So there is we're not gonna know that until July if we're gonna get grant approval.
yes, so that's, with the contract execution with the contractor, so we can have the contract, we can have the board approve that contract in March, April, whenever it is, contingent upon FAA
Great.
funding, grants. So essentially, you approve the contract, but it's not 100% final until we have that FAA grant. Or you can just approve it and you don't have that contingent, so the contractor, we're kind of locked in without having known on this FAA side, 100% locked in for sure. They can start ordering their materials and moving forward. Or we can just withhold on approving the grant altogether until after FAA funding. So it is a lot of money that the FAA is going to provide to this project, so there is some risk that the FAA is not going to approve it. But this funding is coming from entitlement dollars. So we have $150,000 worth of entitlement dollars at the county each year, plus we have some bill funding that needs to be spent by 2020.
This year, correct.
Yep. So the funding, even though it's FAA money, it is allocated toward this airport for the majority of it. We're gonna need to go out there and borrow some money, essentially $500,000, give or take, from another airport to fund the project in its entirety. But that's money that we'll borrow their entitlement dollars, and we'll pay it back with future entitlement dollars. So it's just doing some funding swap between airports. So that shouldn't be an issue. We just need to reach out. There's already a couple airports that have expressed some interest in doing an exchange. We've done that before. We've loaned money to Winona County and El Release, so it's not new to the county. So it's FAA money, but it is dedicated toward this airport, so.
How about that 2.5% dedication from the state? If county is 2.5% and then the state contributes, are we sure that the state would be able to donate or provide that amount?
Yeah, so historically, the FAA's provided 90%, and then the state provides half of the remainder. So in 2025 and 2026, right, 26 is the last year, that the FAA has increased their 90% to 95%. So the state's picking up half of the remainder, so half of the 5%, that 2.5%. So that is a practice at the state that if the FAA funds the project, the state will, essentially they'll follow suit and they'll pay that extra 2.5%.
Okay, so we've never had an issue with
No,
their obligation?
they always
Okay.
follow the feds.
So if we award the bid to somebody, like say next month, and July comes along and all of a sudden the Fed says we don't have the money, can we still get out of that?
We would be locked in at that point, so that unless we have a approval with contingent upon FAA grant, And, you know, and if we know that, we can put that into the contract, that that's what it's gonna be, but then the supplier's gonna be aware of that, in advance as they bid this stuff out, so it might affect their bid price.
Well, it should be good for us to bid early, because if we wait till later on, you got all this disaster all over the United States, this stuff's gonna get higher. I mean, realistically, it's gonna get higher, so we gotta maybe make up our minds. But I don't wanna lock into something that we can't get out of either,
Agree.
you know?
Yeah, but if we approve the contract, construction's gonna begin this summer.
Unless we have a contingency built in.
Contingent on the grant funding.
So then we're gonna wait until we get the grant funding.
We can if we want, or we can just not put a contingency in there.
let me
So
answer-
that's where,
So, what you're talking about, these other funds here for Bowery and stuff, your total of $500,000 some dollars? On this project's what, 1.8 million?
yeah, 1.6.
Roughly.
1.6, something like that?
Let's say FFA come back and said, no, we're not gonna fund this. So we're on the hook for the other
7 million.
750,000?
So right now, the county, including AIP and your bipartisan infrastructure law funds, has 1.1 million in federal funding available. And then we've already had discussions with the city of Albert Lee and the city of Buffalo. They're not doing a
So we
project.
could fund that, this whole project without FAA contribution?
That's FAA funding. That 1.1 million of funds that Houston County has, that's the FAA funding amount.
I know it's coming, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, so it's already assigned, so 1.1 million is essentially assigned for Houston County Airport. But we can't spend it without them providing that grant and giving us authorization to use it. So it's not like it's sitting in county coffers, it's sitting, FAA is holding it until we show them we have a project that needs that funding. And then they release that money to us, with that grant agreement.
Could we put a contingency in there or not?
I mean, do you have any ideas for how do you
So-
think that's gonna affect price?
Or what is your
The
opinion?
contingency is going to be then the contract, will not be awarded for either 90 or 120 days. So depending on what the county board decides here, we would adjust the schedule. If the county, desires to wait until the FAA and the state grant, our offers are received, my recommendation would be then to delay the bidding of the project so that you're not having contractors hold bids for 120 days thereabout. So that would be how you kind of avoid putting in a contingency. You just, delay the bidding so that timing wise, the county will get the state and the federal grant offers and then can get the contractor under contract.
But you feel that by doing this, bidding it out now, we could save some money?
Yeah, I believe if you bid it out, next month, you're gonna get much better bid pricing where contractors right now are looking to fill up their work for the season. I think my concern is if you bid it out in, April, it might cost, a little bit more than what you would see next month. And then with knowing that the county has a pretty healthy federal funding balance, that yes, the money is appropriated to Houston County, but you still have to request it from the FAA. I mean, I see little risk in the federal funding request, and it's just a matter of when the grant offers are received for the county. But understand the concern that you still will have a signed contract with the contractor before the grant offers are actually in hand.
And then we do a contract next month, that'd be locked in, all the materials would be all locked in on that bid? Then we're good for the whole rest of the year?
Yeah, that would be, Commissioner Myrie, once the county executes the contract, then you're locked in. But we anticipate that to be sometime later in March.
Okay.
Okay.
But the 41,000 that we have a remainder for the county, that will probably be paid by rent, more or less from the hangars.
That is the plan, the goal, based on discussions at the airport commission is that, over time, it's all gonna be recouped is the end goal.
We'll get our money back from the rent.
How did we determine the 8-unit size was where we wanted to go with that? Is that just the standard size of the construction of the hangar, or why 8?
Yeah, we've talked about a 6-unit, 8-unit, and 10-unit. 8 units a pretty standard size.
Okay.
The front row of hangars there's 5 or 6 hangars on the front row, so if they all get relocated, that takes up 3/4 worth of the T hangar space just with that. And then we'd have a couple extra hangars for someone else coming in from outside the current airport leases. We do have a minimum threshold that we need to keep at least 10 planes at the airport. If we have less than that, then we lose our FAA entitlement funds. And that puts us, well, we would lose a bunch of funding if we did that. So we need to keep that 10 hangar or 10 plane minimum based out there. So this helps us keep that 10 planes. Justifying 10 hangars would be difficult to justify to the FAA. 6, we wouldn't have essentially any extra space to have outside flyers get based here because we'd be essentially relocating that front row over, and then there's no expansion. So this gives us that little bit of expansion possibility.
When the older one needs to be removed, is that FAA responsibility? Do they deconstruct that, or is that something that we need to do?
So that is eligible for,
Correct. The FAA considers that the first row of hangars as an obstruction to, the runway airspace, so they have stated that they would provide funding to
Okay.
take down that first row of hangars when the need arises.
Okay.
second and third row.
Second and third row are okay. It's just that first row of hangars.
No, but I meant, would they participate in that in the future?
Not unless if it's not an obstruction, they would not participate since they're privately owned hangars.
So that, the question that the FAA had about the need, justifying the need, you're in the process of answering that?
Yeah,
And so then, when you answer them, are they gonna answer you back, or they're just gonna take that when they make their final decision in July of whether to give the 95%?
Typically, Commissioner, they provide, you guys are good to go with the project once all the documents they requested are received.
So it'll be before July?
Yes, I'd anticipate, I know talking with.
So
Brian-
could it be in March when the bidding gets let out here?
Yes,
Okay. Is that the way you see it, Brian?
yeah. I mean, that's my goal, is to have an answer back from them that we know by the time we award a contract, that even though we don't have that grant in hand, that we know that they're on the same page as us and that it's gonna go through. It's just a matter of timing.
So if, in a case where they see an issue or they have concerns, we'll know that come March, when we approve the contract with a low bidder? Should have, anyway.
yes.
All right.
So you need permission today to go out and get the bids or advertise for bids, or do we need? or you
Approve
got-
awarding the contract.
The board's already approved going out to advertise. It's just that timing of when do we wanna bid it out, or when do we wanna get the bids back, and how do we wanna award it? Does this board, want to award it in March, or do they wanna hold off on awarding it until after we can get that FAA grant in July, give or take?
I think we gotta get going as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Not gonna get no cheaper.
No.
So you don't really need an action here, you just need,
I wouldn't need an action.
yep, you just need, all right.
Just kind of-
I'm in favor of going out and getting that stuff. We don't know how much money we're gonna need until we get bids, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
That's fine.
Proceed along that line, and we'll be in touch as far as the dates.
Certainly. Thank you, Commission.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, well,
Appreciate
thanks
it.
for the information.
All right.
We got 11 is done.
Number 5, consider awarding paving bid from Dunn Blacktop for County Highway 2.
Yes, so So we bid out our paving project for County Highway two, CASA two. Between, this goes from Eitzen over to New Albin. So there's two sections of that roadway within Houston County, and there's a couple sections within Almaquee County, Iowa. So, this is for the portion within Houston County. The intent is to have Almaquee County repave their section as well, at or about the same time as our project. So we bid this out. We received one bid from Dunn Blacktop. Their bid came in at $2,801,601.74. The estimate, engineer's estimate was $2,772,637.60. So the bid came in just under $30 or $30,000 more than our estimate. So it was pretty close, within just over a percentage point of the estimate. The primary reasons why the number came in a little bit higher was the cost to grind up the old pavement, and the traffic control numbers came in higher than our estimate. But overall, this is, I think, a good bid and recommend approving.
It's gonna be wider and thicker too, is that for a certain part of it?
Yeah, we're gonna thicken up the pavement section, from the part, the first section from Eitzen over, yeah. And then, we're gonna pave it a little bit wider than the current.
We got all that heavy equipment on that road, we pretty near got to. Don't you think so, Jordan?
I agree.
And even, there's no limit on these manure spreaders anymore, so all they do is keep putting more axles underneath them, and it's just getting heavier and heavier. I don't know if there's something we can do to change that. I see Wisconsin has put a limit on their manure spreaders, so I don't know if the state of Minnesota wants to look into something like that or not, but.
Yeah, there's some committees set up that the state has and our County Engineers Association, talking to other counties, a lot of discussions in the past between Minnesota and Iowa on what to do. And, really the industry has a lot of pull as far as what happens with those spreaders. We all know that they need to get that manure down the road, and
If there's an ag in front of it, it's pretty safe. If it's involved with ag.
Did you say Alameda County has already approved this or not?
no, so they're gonna be bidding their projects separately. So they have, being that it's in a different state and they have different funding sources, they have federal funds on their projects, so they have set timeframes on when they can bid it out, and they have a different process. They're having some issues with a little bit of environmental, permitting approvals that they need to have. But their goal was to bid it out in February. I don't know if they're gonna meet that target or not because of these delays that they're encountering with permitting, but the ultimate plan is for them to construct this and their project at the same time.
Okay, yeah.
So is there a motion to approve the paving bid to Dunn Blacktop?
I'll make a motion to approve the bidding for County Road 2.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Number 6, consider approving request to purchase a tandem axle truck off the state bid from Nuss Truck for a purchase of price of $158,517.18.
Okay, so items number 6 through 10 on the agenda, just wanna talk about this as a group real quick. So this is all budgeted items, and there's not one item that is gonna not fit into our budget items for major equipment and minor equipment. Number 5 and 6, or number 6 and 7 are, number 6 is the tandem axle plow truck, so the cabin chassis. Number 7 is the box that goes on that, and the plow, the wings, the underbody, attachments. So if 6 doesn't get approved, then 7 would be withdrawn from the agenda. So the budget for those two items combined for 6 and 7, we had $450,000 in the budget for those. The actual cost for these two bids combined is $380,000 roughly. So we're under there. One of the things that when you order these plow trucks, it takes a year or two to get them. So the truck that gets ordered today, we probably won't receive until the fall of 2026 or maybe into 2027. So we'll make adjustments into future budgets based on when we're gonna be getting the truck at that time. So historically, the county buys one plow truck per year. Once in a great while, we're able to skip a year. We might need to double up and get 2 plow trucks in a year. But usually what it is, 1 plow truck per year. We have 10 plow routes, so we have the plow truck's gonna be on the road plowing for 10 straight years. And then once you get to year 11, 12, that truck might get sold if the condition gets to that point where we feel it's best to get rid of it. We might convert it over and use that truck as our riprap truck or a spare truck and use that in case we have something that break down during the winter months, or if we need to use it to haul rock and gravel and other stuff during the winter or during the summer months. The bottom of our plow trucks, they have a V-bottom. In them, we have a belt and chain that pulls the material up to the front of the truck, dumps it out the side in front of our rear axle. So the setup, once we get to that year 11 and 12, it's not necessarily a good truck to haul riprap. So we make adjustments, just so you're aware of that. So, so number 5 then, or number 6, going back to that item. So, so this is for the truck and chassis, $169,415.24. It's, I believe, a 2% increase for future years for 2026. So it doesn't have a whole lot of increase for next year. If we don't get that plow truck this year, like I said, we won't. So this bid accounts for that increase for next year's 2% increase.
The 158,
Price.
Doug?
160.
169, Doug?
69, yep, so 158, 517, 18 would be if we got it this year, which we're not gonna. So the 169,415.24 would be, or sorry, the 158, 517, 18, that'll be 2026 model, expecting to get it next year. And then the 169, that is with taxes and fees added on to that. So that is the total for that unit.
So you have 10 routes, you said?
Yes,
And how many miles per route do you usually have?
about 31 to 32 miles is the typical route.
We got 310 miles that we plow, snow,
Yeah.
or everything, pretty
Yep,
much.
yeah, and that counts about 50 to 60 miles of township roads that we assist with each winter. And we've looked at that, how many routes should we have, and stuff, and we've compared that to other counties. Freeborn County is actually asking for a bunch of information right now, and the typical county, plows anywhere from 26 to 38 miles per route. The more urban counties usually have less miles per route than the rural counties, and we're kind of right in the middle of most counties with that rate, the middle to the slightly on the higher half. So it's good if we,
Actually, there's some townships that are pretty close to you then, because Wilmington's got 38 miles in their township, and Blackhammer must have 40, I think, miles in their township.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, there's some big townships then compared to what the county does too.
Yep.
You received all those other trucks that we approved?
No, so we received one truck here about a month, not even a month ago. A few weeks ago, we received one truck. We have another one we're anticipating to get probably midsummer, mid to late summer, probably the next truck.
Might be spring here, that the cabin chassis is built.
So they're starting to catch up a little bit, but they're still that 18 months out.
So is that 10,000 and something for tax? That's for this year?
That'll be
amount of tax
when we get the truck.
in 2026, okay.
Yeah, so actually, we pay for the truck when the truck is delivered to the supplier to add the box on. So we buy the truck and then we send it up right away to get the box, and then it takes another 3, 4, 5 months beyond that before the box and the wings and everything is fitted on.
So it would be the 169, 415.
Yes.
So is the tax federal excise tax or what? Is it state tax, federal tax?
Motor vehicle tax?
I thought it is a motor vehicle tax?
I was gonna say, is there any federal?
We pay it on, when the truck comes, we don't wait until the box is added because then
Oh, along with that
You just pay for the truck. You don't pay for the
box.
box tax. There's no,
if it's attached,
then you gotta pay that too?
Oh,
so that's why we register it.
Yep.
okay. Makes sense.
So what are we gonna do?
Well, it's to whether approve, it's been budgeted, so for 25, right?
Yeah, it's in our 25 budget.
We might not get it till 27.
Possibly.
Possibly, yeah.
About 40-some thousand under what the bid was, 30?
Yes, the estimate, or the quotes came in,
380 versus 450.
450, yes.
Estimated that a little high, didn't we? Or
You know, it was based on what we,
Jumping.
yeah, it's been based on what we've received the last couple of years. I mean, the prices really jumped. I was pleasantly surprised to see only a 2% increase. I mean, it's been jumping 10 to 20%, so.
When we purchased them other ones, when they came in, they were significantly higher, so I think we
Yeah.
adjusted.
there was several increases as we were waiting for it.
Well, that COVID really raised heck with us, you know.
Well, inflation took off and that's when it really started to ramp up.
So you paid what you originally had? Or did you have
No,
to?
we had to pay more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it was a 2-year newer model year and they would not honor the original bid price. So we pushed back hard on that. A lot of counties did.
It cost us what, 50 grand or more? Or was it more?
It's close to that.
I thought it was something like that. It was quite a jump, I thought, for.
So if we approve this, we're approving this amount
Yep.
we have?
So is there a motion to approve the request to purchase this tandem axle plow truck?
Being it fits in their budget that they approved for, and it's the schedule of the replacement that we had talked about, I'll make that motion.
Also,
Oh, go ahead.
you can.
So Bob made the motion, Greg seconded it.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Number seven, consider approving request to purchase the truck box for the truck.
Pretty gotta have that.
So without the truck, yeah.
More than the truck itself, 210,000.
That
Yep, so
includes the plow and the sander.
Put it
and-
This in-
together,
Yep, so
yeah.
this includes the sander, the front plow, the underbody, the back wing, all the attachments that's on there, the lights, you name it, that's what this is for. So $210,678 is the bid for this, and this is a tow master through the state contract.
So you guys put this stuff all on, or do the?
Nope, the tow master will install it for us.
Okay.
So has that been a good body?
We've been
You
happy
guys
with it.
been happy with it?
Yes, so we switched the boxes, several years ago now to stainless steel boxes. We 2019. So before that, we went with the standard steel boxes, and we'd have to repaint them after 5 years. So after 5 years, I mean, they really looking rough shape. They're corroding. We need to add, additional bracing for supports and stuff. So the new stainless steel bodies or boxes have been great. You save the money on the cost just by not having to repaint after 5 years. And then they've been really holding up well. And then the rest of the stuff, the wings and the plows, you know, they all holding up good.
That's why they're expensive. They got that 304 stainless, whatever material.
Actually, I believe that stainless is only an increase in cost of about like 8,000 or something. It wasn't that drastic.
I'll make a motion to approve the buying the tandem axle box.
Motion been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Bob seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, more stuff. Consider number 8, approving the following budget items: an air compressor, trailer, soil conditioner, and 2 storage containers.
Yeah, so this has a variety of items, and I'll go through each one at a time. You can decide how you want to take these up as far as approval. So the first one, the air compressor, we had 15,000 in the budget. The quote, and we received multiple quotes on these items, but the ones presented here are the low quotes. So 15,000 was the budget, and the quote for the air compressor, $12,271. For the trailer, we received multiple quotes of 2 different types of trailers. We have a trailer with some racking in the front of the trailer to help carry our attachments, and then also a trailer without the racking. We are recommending the trailer with the racking. We had 25,000 in the budget. The low quote came in at $22,026.94. The third item, the soil conditioner, so this essentially pulverizes the soil, helps get everything ready for, so you don't have big chunks of sod and material there as you go to prepare it for seed and mulch or whatever we're gonna be doing with that soil, depending on where it's at. Original budget 15,000. The quote is for $12,083.13. And then storage containers, so we have some material left outside at our shop. The current storage containers we have been holding up really well. We use them, they're full with material. We could use some more of them, and we've also talked about containers, instead of having where you load them on the end, you load them on the side. Quotes for this, or the budget was 18,000. It would be 9,000 if we purchased one, 17,600 if we purchased 2. We recommend purchasing 2. Some of the stuff like our signage for, road closures and any detour signs, that stuff's currently sitting outside exposed to the sun, and it has a shelf life, typically 10 years in the elements is when they lose their reflectivity and they don't just show up. So want to get some of the stuff out of the sun so they hold up better, and there's just not enough space for some of the storage. So said the existing containers that we've had for probably it's been several years now. And they look like they're brand new, so they've really held up well. So we want to get a few more of them. So
How big are they?
40 feet long, 8 feet wide, 9.5 feet tall.
They like them China shipping containers?
That's what they are.
40 by 8?
Container. Yep.
The ones we currently have are the 20-footers
Yes.
around the fuel pump.
So it'll be twice as big as the ones you got down there now.
Yes.
But being that these ones, that they're just sitting there, we're not moving them around all the time. They're not being exposed to the salts and stuff, so they really hold up well.
They got the side entry doors.
The ones we're going for would have side entry doors, yep. It'd be 4 sets of doors on the whole side.
So it looks like all your quotes came under budget
Yes.
this year.
So is there a motion to consider approving the following budget items, those 4 items right there?
I'll make a motion to approve.
This is all in the budget, correct?
Correct.
Well, you saved $10,000 on the 1, 2, 3, 4 items.
Is that a second?
Yeah, I guess so. I'll second it.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Number 9, consider approving the purchase of a steel drum roller to the amount of $15,000. Brian.
Yeah, so these next couple items are really why I wanted Jordan to be here the most today, along with some of the stuff in the previous item. So Jordan's been doing a bunch of research on what we can get for used equipment. So this is looking for a used steel drum roller to help with our compaction efforts. So currently we have a smaller roller that's a sheet foot that we can do some stuff with. Doesn't work as good as what we could do if we had a dedicated steel drum roller to help compact shoulders and packing the material as we're building stuff up for that final surface prep on gravel before paving. So $15,000, that'll get us a used some steel drum roller that's has some age on it and stuff. But we think that it'll get us what we need to do a better job with our compaction efforts. So you want to talk about what you've seen out there for the age and condition?
So I've got a 19 with a 3-foot drum on it. It's around, I think it only had like 700 hours on it. That was around 10 grand. Otherwise, if I go a bigger drum with your 4-foot drum, I'm out down to a 2011. That's right at 15 grand.
So compared to what new? Twice that much or?
40, 50 more.
This is, what you say, 20 feet wide? It'll cover all the back.
Oh, 3-foot wide or 4-foot wide, the two that I looked at.
Yeah, and I really want, so finding these used ones are relatively difficult to find. And then, when you do find them, having them available to come back in the future and say, this is the one we want to buy, and can they hold it long enough? We'd rather just get an approval to say, okay, if it's a good deal, let's buy it when it pops up. I prefer the 4-foot wide width. The 3-foot compactor can work, but when you're going in and out of different areas, 3-foot ones can get awfully tippy.
Little tippy, yeah.
And, we have tipped rollers in the past. They're, anyone that's been on the 3-footers know that they be careful with them so you don't tip them. If you tip a rollover and someone gets pinched under it, it's a very, very bad day.
You have old guards?
So the roller we have now does have a ROPS on it, yes, rollover protection.
The one we'd buy would also have.
The one we'll buy will have it, yes.
All right.
Is this a pull type thing, or is this something you hook on?
Self-propelled.
Self-propelled ride-on.
Puts right on the back of the blade.
Nope.
Nope, this is self-propelled, it's
Dual steel
standalone
drum
unit.
roller.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pavement roller.
Yeah, what Greg, you were referring to is that one that to mount on the back of the grader. That's a different piece of equipment.
Yep, and we did order one of those that was approved back in December with some ARPA money.
Yep.
So how's that coming? Have you seen it, or haven't got it, or we don't know?
Originally, they told me probably 4 weeks or so,
Yeah, we don't have it yet, but should be soon.
relatively soon.
I think that's gonna help you a lot on the gravel roads, blading.
Absolutely.
So did you budget for a new item?
No, we budgeted 15,000 for a used, so this matches the budget.
Oh, got it.
Okay, is there a motion to approve? I spoke with Jordan this morning too I feel he's justified the need for it.
I'll make a motion to approve it's in the budget and the needed item.
I'll second it.
Is there a second?
Yep.
Greg seconded it. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Number 10, consider approving the purchase of a truck for weed spraying up the amount of 50,000.
Yeah, so this one originally we had in the budget for 80,000 to buy a new pickup, 550 size, so a little bit bigger than a 1-ton. 1-ton pickups just don't have the capacity for that extra weight of the big tank, and they're full of liquid splashing around. So the approved budget in in December had 50,000 in there to buy a used pickup. So Jordan's been doing a bunch of research on that, and he could talk about what he found for years and mileage of what 50,000 will get us.
I found a 18 F550, right at 44,000. It's got 116,000 miles on it. And these are all, I'll say relatively local, within a couple hundred miles of picking them up. A 17 at 37,000, it's got 94,000 miles on it. A 19 at 45,000, it's got 106. A 22 at 50,000, it's got 111,000 miles on it. And then a 19 for 44, that's got 57,000 miles on it, but that one's all the way down in Missouri. That's a little farther to go to get it.
Yeah, so
These, and it would be four-wheel drive, diesel, 18,000 pound capacity.
That's set up and dedicated just for the weed spraying, is that what we talked about?
Yes, so we'd take that box or the bed and weed sprayer and set it on this one.
Then how many years did we figure you'd get out of that new setup or the new used setup?
Quite a while, quite a few.
yeah, I mean, hopefully we can still have the truck when it's 15, 20 years old, you know, as long as it's mechanically sound.
Shouldn't,
So we put on 10,000 miles a year on it, max,
five probably max.
probably
I think.
5.
I remember we talked about it was kind of a limited amount of miles, but it's a dedicated truck that you figured you'd get a long use out of once you did it.
How long are they gonna let you spray? That's the next question.
Over time, it's probably gonna be more and more spot spraying instead of broad spraying. But right now, it's,
Truck that you have now was a repurposed truck, is that what I remember?
Yep, that's a 2001. It was the sign truck with the big box and the crane and all that on it. Repurposed it into this spray truck.
That's pretty much used up.
She's tired.
Well, we're all tired.
So this was, in our previous discussion, when we came budget time talks, the original idea was to take the service truck that we have, take the body off that and put that truck underneath the weed sprayer and then buy a new service truck, the service body. Here, we're just going to buy the
Cabin chassis, basically.
cabin chassis just to put on a used one, so. But you were estimating what, 80-some thousand, 82?
80 if we were gonna have to switch that service body to another truck, which would be a high cost
Yeah.
to get it all replumbed and wired and.
Well, your mileage is pretty low on your mechanic's truck. I mean, that should last a while yet. I mean.
oh yeah, there's definitely some life on that truck.
Yeah, and it doesn't, ain't like it's running 100 miles a day. It's, you know, so I think that should be all right, and get your sprayer truck set up.
How much is that one in Missouri?
44,000.
44,000? How many miles?
57,000 on it.
That's the lowest mild one, right?
Yep.
Yeah, most of the ones are at a little over 100,000.
Or a little over most of them that I'm finding.
Then you guys swap over the spray equipment?
Yep, we could do that ourselves.
You know, Missouri really isn't that far, I mean.
Just across the
cases.
state of Iowa.
Depending on where at in
Yeah.
Are
Missouri.
you at the southern end
true.
of Missouri or the?
Can us commissioners go out and get it?
Fine
No,
by me if
thanks.
you guys want to go get it.
I'll stay home.
Well, I'm heading to Texas here in February, I could swing by and,
Swing by and look at it.
well, what do you guys wanna do? I think we budgeted 50,000, I think he's got some examples there, I think.
Well, I kinda like that one in Missouri for low mileage. I mean, that would get us a long time. See what you can do on that one.
Yep.
We open it up but if it's not that one, then make sure that we.
We're just
make a
basically
motion that
approving his
approve-
50,000 and he can make the choice,
Not any
I guess.
particular, yeah.
Get the best one you can.
Yeah, like the one in Missouri, we'd reach out to someone that's in that area to have them go over there and take a look at it, so we don't drive down there and
Right.
find out that it's It's not in the same condition that it appears to be in pictures and
We could do a video.
So what year is that one?
That was a 2019
19 Ford, 550?
550 four-wheel drive, 6-7 liter diesel.
Yeah, that would, and that's a diesel, right? So that would have some warranty for the emissions and all that stuff yet. Isn't that 100,000 on that usually?
Probably.
It should be for,
There might be some warranties there, but you never know on them trucks.
yeah, it's probably getting close to the end of it, 5 years, or maybe longer.
5 year.
I don't know. That's something you gotta check out. All right. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
thank you.
That's it.
Thank you.
Jesus Christ, you robbed us pretty hard today.
So does this complete your purchases for 2025? They're in the budget?
I believe this is it for 25, yes.
Good job coming under
Other than
budget.
the enterprise, lease-
See you next year, B.
other than the enterprise lease vehicles.
Still under budget.
All right, we did number 11. Number 12, consider reviewing and approving payments. Everybody had a chance to look at those. Any questions on those?
I'd make a motion to approve these payments.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
So Carol, on the commissioner warrants, the H&R thing, is that abatement?
No, it's a repair of a,
Oh, a truck, maybe.
actually a sheriff's vehicle.
Oh, okay,
Had an encounter with a tree.
okay.
Did the tree
You have
win?
insurance
Pardon?
you had insurance on that?
Right, we received our payment from MCIT, and that offsets what our final cost is, but we have the deductible that we have to pay.
Okay,
So we pay for the repair, we code the receipt into the same account, so it nets.
okay.
So this is the remainder, the
Well,
76?
this is the total bill.
Oh, okay,
We have to pay the bill and then we get the money back from
okay.
CIT.
What is our deductible? with them? What is our deductible?
Either 1,000 or 2,500.
Okay,
Vehicles, I believe, are 1,000.
all right, motion's been made and seconded. Any other further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, do we want to go into closed session? Or should we do?
But you can go ahead and do your updates that way.
Okay,
There won't be any action after the closed session
Okay,
Okay.
for discussion.
so do you have any updates for us, Carol?
No, just been kind of busy with end of year, beginning of year, and
Okay. I had a couple of things. We had a planning commission meeting last Thursday. Reviewed the cannabis ordinances and approved them to be put into the ordinance for Houston County. Had a few comments, but overall, it was accepted and put in. And that was all we did. Had a little discussion on solar. Showed them some information on that to think about in the future to discuss the solar ordinance that we're gonna work on for the interim. So, yesterday, or no, yeah, it was yesterday. Attended a Zoom meeting on the legislative update, And, of course, if anybody's been following the legislature situation, it's at a stalemate right now. The House side of things, the Democrats are boycotting the session. And a Supreme Court decision saying they need to have a 68 quorum, and there's only 67. So now they're back to square one, and everything's kind of at a stalemate. They reviewed the budget that the governor proposed, and I noticed, I was gonna talk to John about that too, but there's some things in there that are going to put more burden on the county as far as for the disability side of things. I was just gonna try to see if I could find out exactly what that is gonna cost us. I know for like Beltrami County, it was gonna be tremendous for what they were gonna have to pay out of their own pocket because of the pullback on the state level, so.
One of the shared expense areas that they're talking about, counties need to contribute more.
Yep, yep. You attended it as well? Yep. I guess that's all I got right now. Cindy, what do you have?
Well, I have been attending the committee meetings, and a couple of them to call out is, also, actually, I attended the Association of Minnesota Counties all last week, and it was very informative with, it was for the new commissioners, but a lot of the tenured commissioners were there as well. So it was very informative to compare Houston County and see how we're doing and what we're doing compared to the like counties and the not-so-like counties in the state. Found out a lot more of the legislative information there as well, as far as the shared cost being necessary if the budget passes this year. And then I actually brought back some materials that I, will have in for our reference as well. But that was very helpful for me as a new commissioner to not only have conversations with other people that are commissioners across the state and the 86 other counties, but also just to kind of troubleshoot where do we go from here when there are some shared expenses and some other mandates that could be coming down for counties. That's all that from the committee perspective too that I wanted to share.
Okay. Commissioner Schultz.
Oh, Eric and I had land use this morning. Brian kind of covered some of the stuff here, talking about County 2 and the T-hangers. Root River and Soil Water brought up about the work they're doing on Pine Creek with the,
By the city golf course.
yeah, it sounds like a pretty good project.
Stream bank stabilization.
Right. I don't know if you wanted to touch a little bit on the assessor winning his,
Yeah, his appeal, that should be brought up too. Luke appealed along with the other counties in the area with the DOR, Department of Revenue. And the Department of Revenue wanted a 28% increase in farmland, and they got it reduced to only at 8.3%, which is a good thing. And the residential evaluation went to 0%. They wanted to have it more than that, all except for La Crescent and Brownsville
cities.
City. Yep, not the townships, but so the city of La Crescent and the city of Brownsville. I don't remember, what was that?
I didn't catch the number.
I didn't catch the percentage on that, but they'll get an increase.
I know the Woods was 8.3 when they finalized.
Yeah, the Woods went from 4,200 to 5,800, and pasture went from 3,000 to 3,600.
What's cropland at now? It's cropland.
I believe
8.3 ag went up 8.3.
Right, yep.
They wanted the 20.
They wanted 28,
11.4 for La Crescent and Brownsville cities.
yep.
Ouch.
I believe Egg lands around 7,500, I believe. Not sure of that, but. There was no, I don't think there's a, 8.3% increase on that.
Then we just had just some discussion between the recorder's office and the other offices about the splitting of parcels and how to make things work smoother and easier, and we're still kind of brainstorming that, so.
Yeah, we're still trying to brainstorm and coming up with ideas to help make that a smoother transition. If possible.
Internal process? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, for
Okay.
parcel splits. Eric, the surveyor, is trying to get some help from Beacon on that.
Schneider, yeah, we
Schneider.
met with Micah last week.
Yep.
She was going to put together what they can and can't do, because they can't actually do the county's internal, like, assignment of parcels, numbers and that kind of stuff, but she was going to put together
What they
what
can
could
do.
what they can do.
Yep.
I did ask if if they knew of any companies that did provide, like, the additional support for the internal transactions, and she didn't really know of anybody, but she was going to do some checking.
That's about it, good information, so.
Okay. Commissioner Myrie.
I just had a Zoom with Carol on sheriff's appeal. That's all I've had.
The May date probably isn't going to work. So Susan was sending an email. Dewey won't be available, and being on the personnel committee, he's kind of a pivotal part of it.
He'll be one of the witnesses.
You all, whoever voted on it will definitely be witnesses. So she was going to send an email today. Because they needed to know by the end of day today whether those May dates worked,
Okay, so it might be June now then?
unless they can find a date sooner.
June's a little tight, just FYI. Some of my weeks, June is a little busy.
I'll probably, send out another email
Okay.
with
Yep.
Thanks.
available for.
Great.
All right, well. I can't think of anything else I wanted to bring up.
I'll make a motion that we go into closed session.
Motion made, is there a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, Allison, at 11:20, Bob made a motion to come out of closed session. Greg seconded it. And we just had continuing negotiations. No decisions were made. Is there any closing public comment? Or anything else that needs to be brought up? Not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.